So I was going to wait and see who was here this morning before I read this, because it's not easy reading. And as there's no new people here, I'm going to read it because I don't think you'll be scared away at this point, hopefully. I've been reading, I finished a book by Sarah Wilson called I Eat the Stars, which is about climate change and the polycrises. And in it, she talks about collapse. And since my time with the climate movement, I've been very resistant to that word, collapse. Partly, I think, because I don't want it to be true that it's happening, and partly because I feel like we can change it, and that there's something that almost felt incompatible about climate activism and the fact of collapse. And in this book, Sarah Wilson talks about it, and as she was talking, I was kind of like, oh, okay. And she quotes her mentor, Megan Wheatley, who's written a book about how to be kind of leaders in this time. She talks about kind of warriorship leaders. And this is just a section from her about civilizations. The pattern is crystal clear. If we humans, no matter where we are or what our cultural belief system is, establish a physical location, we will always, so this is based on lots and lots of research for civilizations over the past 5,000 years, we will always organize in the same way. We create glorious buildings, cities, transportation and trade routes, music, aqueducts, dance, poetry, theatre, sewage systems, canals, pottery, fabrics, farms, statues, monuments. And yet, these magnificent cultural manifestations are guaranteed to disappear, destroyed at the end by disease, famine, or invaders that attack a society already weakened by moral decay and internal warring. We are incredible organizers and creators, and then we are brought down by our arrogance, aggression, and greed. Always. So this is what I've been sitting with, this idea that civilizations have a natural trajectory over time, which is that they become more and more complex and they use more and more resources, and things start to deteriorate in several ways. And when Megan Wheatley talks about what's happened in previous civilizations, there's a little quote about there's an Arabian civilization where all the young people were listening to music that was all about sex, and it was really sort of degrading them morally. Or, you know, these things that are happening now have happened before. And of course, you know, I'm talking about the Western world. I'm talking about we folk who are lucky to have a lot of resources. Of course, it's very different in other parts of the world. And I've been reading this material during this phase of unprecedented heat and dry and wildfires. And it's been an interesting process because I've been feeling a lot of grief. I feel grief for the wildlife that's suffering, for the people who are suffering. I've got a friend in Spain, and, you know, things are worse there, and a friend in Canada, and there's awful fires there. And I've been feeling a lot of anger and frustration and incredulity about the single-use barbecue results of the Cobra meeting, which and I know that now he said the words climate change yesterday for the first time, which gave me a great sense of relief, but I think probably only because everyone forced him to say them. And I've also been sitting with this kind of bigger context, like, where are we in our history? Are we the people that just happen to be alive as our civilization kind of crests and begins to, in various ways, fall away? And if that is the case, because of course we don't know, we do know that we can't carry on using resources in the way we are, and that will have to change. That change will be forced upon us. If that is true, then where does that leave me? And the first surprise is that it left me with some relief. Because I think that my own tendency is, when there is something wrong, I feel like I need to fix it. And so seeing all that's wrong in the world at the moment has left me with a horrible feeling of impotence and searching for the thing that will be the thing that tips, I know that sounds ridiculous, that tips us into a better future. And when I think about myself in context of this massive process of all these people around the world with their greed, hate, and delusion, just like my own, it takes some of the pressure off. I can just be with it and not know what's going to happen, and also be realistic about the evidence we have, which is that it is going to get more difficult. It may get more difficult before it gets better, or it may just get more difficult. We don't know. So there's a kind of a taking refuge, I guess. It's a taking refuge not in my own power, but in the process, in the vast process that we're all engaged in. And then it also frees me to live in this day, to live as well as I can in this day. And I think maybe before I thought that acknowledging collapse might mean that I just stopped doing stuff, because what's the point if everything's gonna, go even more to shit? But if somebody's dying, we don't stop visiting them in hospital. we make the most of our time with them. We offer them the things that we can offer them that ease their suffering. We're kind. We learn from them while we can. And there are things that are important, I feel, to do. And I'll put those into 3 categories. The first, I think, comes naturally when we do connect with nature, with the earth. So hopefully listening to the poem will have given you a taste of like, oh yeah, nature's actually really cool. And so we naturally want to look after it. We naturally want to try and conserve our water, something me and Casper have been talking about a lot. Do we get one of these big IBCs, which is a great big container that you can put in your garden and fill with water over the winter? And how do we use the water that's in the sink? Where do we put it? And all of those things. That living lightly on the earth comes naturally, and we can all do that. And we can eat a bit less meat, or we can eat less dairy and eggs, and we can buy jeans less often, because jeans take a lot of water to make, apparently. Those kinds of things we can do. And those actions, people might not even know about them, but we feel good. I feel a bit good when I do those things. And I trust that they ripple out. I trust somehow. The earth definitely sees them, and the Buddha sees them, but they ripple out somehow. And we can also think about how we can use our voices to speak to systems. So it may not have been helpful, but I did write on Andy Burnham's Facebook post a couple of days ago, please, can you use the words climate change? And there were, maybe 500 comments there, and he probably never saw it, but somebody saw it, somebody read it, somebody's reading those comments. I'm not suggesting that they use the words climate change because I asked them to. But if we all come together and speak up in whatever ways we can, 50 green groups did write to him and say, can you please address this properly? That's got to have had an influence on the direction that he chose to take. There's a vigil in Malvern every Saturday between 12 and 1. So one really simple thing that I do, which I haven't done enough recently, is I go and sit with them, and I sit and we're visible. We're sitting with the earth around our necks. Everyone here is really welcome to join for 10 minutes or however long. They've been going for 5 years now. It's just something where we can speak. Right? Petitions are good, but public stuff, talking to our friends, like posting on social media. And then the third thing, which is a phrase that I've pulled from Megan Wheatley, who I just read, is that we can become islands of sanity. One of the things that Sarah Wilson said in her book is that it's not actually a good idea to tell everyone about this stuff, because some people, it's too much for them. Hence my hesitation about reading the paragraph. Of course, you'd have to believe it, but for some people it's actually too much. The knowledge right now is too much for them. The temptation is to want to get everyone to face it, but our job is to face it ourselves and process it and feel the grief and feel the anger and all of that stuff and be in community. And we can become islands of sanity. We can become ahead of the game. And when other people start realizing, I know even Jeremy, what's he called? Jeremy Clarkson, his crops have failed. 10, 15 years ago, he was very anti the idea that climate change was a thing. He's now in the paper saying, my farmers basically, my crops have failed. So we might not want to spend lots of time comforting him, but there are people like him who will come to these realizations that we're at, but they'll come later because of their history, because of their family situation, because of the papers they read. If we were born in those families, we might not get it either. We might be on Facebook saying, it's just the barbecues, it's nothing to do with the weather. Of course, it's the barbecues as well. So we can play that role, and I think that's extra important in a spiritual community, is that we have something that other people don't have. We have some refuge. We have something that we can lean into that other people don't have, and we don't have to force them to do the same, but we've got the steadiness underneath us, and steadiness is also infectious. It just takes one steady person in a room somewhere to depolarize things, or to kind of make people a little bit less afraid. And sometimes we're the ones that are afraid, and that's also really appropriate, and that's why Sangha is important. Sometimes we're the ones that need steadying or looking after. But when we can offer that island of sanity to the world. So I'm really grateful to you all for being here, because you are also my islands of sanity. We can be each other's. And also just to say, just before I left to come to practice this morning, I'd filled up the little water bowl we have in our next to our pond for the birds to drink from, and a jackdaw came and was really happy to drink the fresh water. There is such beauty in this world, and it's our responsibility to enjoy it, to really be blessed by it, and that's something that nourishes us and that helps us to stay sane. So that's the note I want to end on, is the jackdaw gulping down the water. Now moving to peace.